My name is Bev Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of Kidsports, and I just want to thank you for being a part of the Kidsports team. We look to use all of the incredible community resources that we have in Eugene and Springfield, and one of those is Slocum Orthopedics. We have them as a resource to help you navigate some of those injuries and some of those bumps in the roads that are bound to happen when you play any kind of sport or activity.
We see over 275,000 patient visits a year, and many of those visits are related to injuries that are preventable. Kidsports and Slocum working together is just a great partnership for Slocum to get the word out on how to avoid injuries when you're playing sports.
Little league elbow generically refers to really any pain on the inner part of your elbow in a child that's participating in a throwing sport. There is a ligament, the ulnar collateral ligament on the inner part of the elbow that is stressed with an overhead throw. That stress puts tension across a growth plate and can cause pain in the elbow. The best way to prevent little leaguer's elbow is to be aware that it's a possibility. You're going to be mindful of not doing training to maximum capability. You're going to do a lot of sub-threshold pitching or throwing. That means throwing not as far as you could, not as hard as you could, and not doing that intensity as often. And there is a return to throwing protocol that can be followed, but it's going to involve a couple weeks rest from throwing. It's going to involve a reduction in throwing velocity and distance for a period of time, and it's going to involve, if you're a pitcher, reducing the number of pitches you're doing in a given period of time.
Finger dislocations and jams are pretty common sports injuries in kids, especially kids involved in ball type of sports or contact sports. What happens is the end of your finger gets hit and it buckles at the joint. And really it just needs mobilization for a few weeks. We put children in a buddy strap, so we buddy strap it to the neighbor finger and we get you moving right away. You want to avoid any contact for about 3 weeks, but the recovery is overall pretty quick. Any child that's jammed their finger and it's very swollen, they have limited mobility, and you're seeing any bruising, should contact us immediately so that we can get some x-rays and understand what the fracture may look like or what the injury truly is. Fractures are very different, and that might mean casting, and that's more of a 6 to 8 week recovery period.
Clavicle fracture is a broken collarbone. People usually get it from a direct impact or from falling onto their shoulder. Sometimes you can get it from falling onto an outstretched arm. Usually it's pretty obvious in appearance that something is wrong. If you look at the broken side versus the normal side, the quote-unquote normal side, you'll see some sort of bump or defect. The shoulder can sometimes appear to be shorter or in a different position. In most cases, you can go to the urgent care even for an x-ray. If you have the ability to immobilize it with a sling, that's great, but it's really just for comfort, the immobilization part at that point. There's nothing that you can really do to mess up the fracture by moving the arm or the shoulder. There's some indications to go to the emergency room. Some of those would be if there is an open fracture, meaning the bone has pierced the skin. If the kid is after the injury is having difficulty breathing or swallowing, if they can't feel their hand, for sure you need to go to the emergency room right away.
So back pain is typically something we associate with adults, right? As we age, we all eventually seem to be complaining about our back at some point in time, but we can see it in kids as well. And in general, it's not normal, right? For adults, it's not unusual, again, to have back pain. For kids, it's something that I see fairly frequently, but it's something that we associate with potentially for a more serious injury. And the reason why it's concerning is because there's kind of 3 main causes of back pain. In kids, like a ruptured disc or a bulging disc is pretty unusual. We see it sometimes, but it's more unusual. We can see a low back sprain. So a sprain is just an irritation of the ligament in the vertebrae that connect to each other in the low back. The thing that I'm always most worried about in kids, and this can go from 6-7-year-olds on up, although it's the most common cause of back pain kind of more in the adolescent age group, is a stress fracture. So back pain in general is something that if your child complains of, you shouldn't kind of just write that off to, my back hurts too. And again, if it's back pain that seems to be a pretty persistent complaint, and for this, I wouldn't even say that it's keeping them from being active. If they're complaining of back pain for more than a couple weeks, and it's flaring up with activity, that's something that should get evaluated, because that stress fracture is something that if we catch it early, we can treat it and it's going to heal 95% of the time. If we don't catch it early, oftentimes it won't heal, and that does run the risk then of causing more chronic back pain in the future.
Thank you for taking part in this video series. We hope it's been very helpful, and I think it reflects how much we care about your child's experience here in our youth sport programs, and how much we will use community resources like Slocum to provide your child with a wonderful, warm, safe, and exciting season of sport. Thank you.